What's up? We're back. Anybody out
Yeah.
there? Quick sound check. What is going on, Coach Paul? How you doing today?
Oh, I feel like I got chopped up, and I did, but controlled it. Um, Pretty wild day once again. Uh,
Yes.
how are you doing? How are our listeners? How did you do today?
Hopefully everybody's good out there. I'm doing good. It was a wild day for me as well. A lot of back and forth, a lot of frustration in trading this type of price action. A lot of breath work to make sure I'm just executing a process and couple of couple of words that if we were on Topstep TV might have gotten us banned from YouTube. But we are here. We made it. It is the end of the day. Welcome to At the Buzzer, everyone. Our market recap. If this is your first time here, the goal of this segment is to review what happened in the markets for the day. We may talk about some markets that we have not traded before, but we believe our goal as traders is to identify opportunity. We want to see how we can take advantage of those opportunities while managing our risk. I'm Coach Jay. I've been a top step performance coach since June of 2023, trading for the past 14 years in the futures markets for the past 7, and that is Coach Paul. Coach Paul, go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hey, I'm Coach Paul. I've been with Topstep since April of 2023. I've been involved in the futures trading industry for 4 decades, and I'm here to share my experiences, some knowledge, and hopefully help you become a better trader.
Awesome stuff. You are all our chat, our audience. We appreciate you all being here. Abed, my audio should be better now. Uh, let's see what we got in the chat here. Cereal is soup. Ended the day up 952. Only longing small size MNQ. Nice job. Stay small. Stay nimble.
Thanks,
Walker
man.
Hound, strong, consistent rally back from red. Please, I control my risk and emotions to reclaim my losses. Nice job.
Great.
Dan Trader in the chat. Past the 50K combine today. It was a battle to the end. Yeah, I could see that. I could see that. Some people got banned. Who got banned? Huh? I'm confused. Up $157 and locked myself out before I gave it back. Nice job, Charles. Nice job, everyone in the chat. These were wild markets today. Wild markets for sure. Let's take a look at the headlines. We got FedEx earnings coming out here. As far as news goes, we did have some numbers. Jobless claims came in a little bit lower than expected, which is good for the labor market. Came in at 205,000. Forecast was 215. Prior was 213. We also did have that Philly Fed Business Index number coming at 18.1. Forecast was 8. ECB keeping their rates the same. Traders pricing in at least 3 rate cuts for the ECB this year. And we had some headlines out. We had a headline that came out that spiked oil above $100 briefly. The U.S. not going to implement export. What was the exact headline?
They were Israel was going to join in helping unlock the Hormuz.
Yes, it was that
There
one.
was there was a few different ones.
Yeah, that headline brought us back down, right? And
Yeah.
okay, there where it was. The U.S. will not implement a crude export ban. Export ban. That's what it was. The export ban headline brought us above $100. Very interesting there. Shout out to Jack on Topstep TV who shares a bunch of great information throughout the show. But what he saw at the time was WTI crude, which is the one that we trade here, spiking, and Brent crude, which Coach Paul has talked about. That trades more so in London, selling off at the same time that headline came out. So really interesting there. We didn't see the same type of inverse correlation that we saw in the equities that we have been seeing all week, and maybe it's because the spread in the oil markets were being traded, which is pretty interesting there.
Yeah. There was a lot of stuff going on.
It was a busy day, man. It was a busy day. Hairline looking sharp. Thanks. I got to let my barber know. Maybe he'll give me a free haircut next time. Uh, if I shout out his work. Breakout J trade at 3 p.m. with the Russell. Nice job, man cave. I saw that one. Lost my XFA over losing my cool. Very disappointed, but going to recoup and grind on a combine. James, it happens, man. It happens, and that's today. If I didn't have a daily loss limit today, and I did get close to it. I'll be honest. I got close to my daily loss limit. If I didn't have one, there's potential for me to lose an account on a day like today, where I had a bunch of trades that were working until they weren't, and then stopped me out. I tried to be patient, give the market the room to work, and it stopped me out. I was talking to Braden earlier, who hit his daily loss limit. he had trades in the Nasdaq that were working really well, and then came back to stop him out. It was it can be frustrating price action. One of the things that I'm trying to keep in mind here with holding on to trades, looking for flow. If I see decent profit, there are some trade setups that I'm taking right now that if we were in fluid market conditions, I'd be having some of the biggest days of my trading career. But the flow is not there and it keeps stopping, right? So managing my expectations is the biggest thing for me right now as a trader. And I think it should be for most of us. There are moves, but uh, it's just not extremely clean right now. It is difficult price action. Once the market starts to just trend in one direction, we should all feel like we're in like a lazy river and just chilling.
It's getting into that river that
E-
poses a problem.
Exactly, exactly. Uh, it's all about the profits and the friends we make along the way. Let's take a look at the quote board. We have 36 different markets we can trade with Topstep accounts, and it's been the theme: metals down, energies up. We have platinum down 4.1%, gold down 4.9%, and silver, our biggest percentage mover to the downside, down 6.35%. At one point in the day, silver was down 13%, gold was down over 7.5%. So saw a little bit of a bounce. Some of the money I made today was from trading gold to the long side. To the upside, we had heating oil up 1.92%, natural gas up 2.48%, and soybean meal, our biggest percentage mover to the upside, up 3.48%. To talk about our big four, we have crude oil down 1.18%, the S&P down 0.09%, gold down 4.93%, and the Nasdaq down 0.15%. How do you determine a daily loss limit? For me, shout out to Coach Paul, that guy over there. 12% of your account balance. 12% of whatever your account balance is. And for
Preserve your balance.
yes, yeah. Uh, I think in this live account, I've hit it. I think I've hit it twice in this live account. Um, so it's and Carl, if you're trying to trade a Topstep account right now, Topstep accounts need to be closed by 4:10 Eastern time. So you can trade at 6 p.m. At 6 p.m. All right, let's take a look at some charts here. On the daily, 12% of accrued profits. I keep it real simple. If my balance is $10,000, my daily loss limit is 12% of $10,000. My balance is 20,000. It's 12% of 20,000. And for me, the higher that balance goes, the less of a percentage I'm going to use. Right. So if my balance is at 50, I'm probably not risking 12%. My balance is at 100, I'm probably not risking 12%. All right. Hopefully that makes sense. Keep it real simple. 12% of whatever your balance is. Is that right, Coach Paul? I mean, it's your suggestion.
12% of your equity balance. If you do that, sometimes you say, "Ah, that well, wish I wouldn't have done that." No, the number one priority is survivorship or preserve. We talk about it all the time, capital preservation. And at 12% of your account balance, if you're down that much,
You're
you
wrong.
have to stop. There's other days. And
Yeah.
I will ask everybody in the audience, go to those days where you blew up combines or XFAs, or blew up accounts. Something happened in your decision making process where you threw everything out the window and you chased losses. We've all had those. If you go back to those and cut it off at 12%, you go back and you're like, well, I'd be alive. So, in my experience, number one is preserve that. Without that, you can't trade, right? And it's not easy. It's one of the hardest things to do. But if you set up a lockout, like Coach Jay just said, you, boom, done. You come back an hour later, you're like, thank God I did that. So there's other days. Um, I'll put it this way: if think of yourself as a general, and you have to fight a war, and in that war you have many different battles. If you blow up 50% of your ammunition or your forces in one battle, it's gonna be very hard to win the war. Frame
Yep.
it out that way.
Yeah. And you know, one of the things that I've also heard, because you said this all the time, you say this, Coach Paul, 12% should be like, hey, I need a parachute, right? We're free falling towards the ground and I need a parachute. You don't always want to be in that situation, right? So don't set 12% and then just push the limits all the time. That is like the ultimate guardrail. I hit the wall, that's it. Shut it down. We're done. The ultimate goal for you as a trader is just to manage the risk and say, hey, you know what? I'm not seeing it well. I'm just going to cut myself off now. There's a question in here. Should that be the profit goal as well from BAM? I don't personally trade with a profit goal because I don't know what the market's going to present that day. Um, but I'm also not hitting a 12% loss limit every day I take a loss, right? Sometimes we just have to be, it's maturity as a trader to be under that 12% and not try to make back whatever you lost and just say, hey, you know what? I'm going to accept a small losing day, right? Don't hit 12% every day. Uh,
Yeah. So, a question, answer for CLZR 76. So on a 50K account, 2K drawdown, you're saying 12% of 2K.
correct.
Yeah,
Correct.
it's not a big amount.
Nope. It's 240
And
bucks.
the other side is let your winners ride, um, because over time they have to be bigger. And without getting too deep into that, yeah, let your winners ride. If you have a problem of not taking profit, well, then you might want to cap your upside. If that might be an answer to that. But number one, you hear it all the time, cut your losses, right? That's the first thing, and that's the hardest thing because it's hard to lose
Yeah.
because your ego gets in the way. Like one trader told me, he goes, your ego is not your amigo. And that stuck with me. It's not your friend. Your ego in trading is not your friend. So,
Yeah. Definitely not. Enchanting Wizard, and we'll get into the markets right after this. So, is infinity your goal? If the market wants to give me infinity profits, I'm taking it. But no, my goal is to trade as many good trade setups as I see based on a process, based on my mental uh, capacity, and based on my account balance. Right. If I'm drained for the day and a good trading setup presents itself, I'm not taking the trade. Um, Mental capital, actual capital. Is there a good setup? That's my goal. Take as many trades as I'm sitting at my desk, and then at some point, you got to call it good enough. you know, I was up. I'm up 3 grand today. Could I have been up 10? Maybe. Could I have been down 10? No, because I had a loss limit. What do you? What do
one
you
of
say?
those words is could have.
Right, right.
Don't get
Let's
into that.
let's take a look here, Coach Paul, at the daily. Also, shout out to Jack. SPX closed below the 200-day moving average, which is the underlying asset of the S&P that we trade. The SPX closed below the 200-day moving average for the first time today since May 9th. What are we seeing on the daily here, Coach Paul, in the Nasdaq?
Boy, you can't. I tell you, the shape of that candle tells it all.
Yeah, it looks like
Today's
a
candle,
dart.
it's a dart. It's tough trading. Um, Still under the 200 moving average. Didn't take out the previous low of this down move. Um, Nice recovery at the end, but we're still under the average. Um, I really feel like today's action was short covering from early lows. Like a lot of people were short.
Yeah,
Um, So, but a nice recovery, but still, that's not a bullish chart.
No,
And
not
I
at
think,
all. We're getting ready to see that 20 moving average get cross below the 200 as well. It's about a 50-point difference between the 20 and 200 moving averages here.
yeah. And this is because if we're coming into a bear market, in bear markets are brutal on short covering rallies because equities aren't designed to go down,
Right.
right? So this is one of those days. The later we went in the day, we got balance at those lows. We try to break those lows, and then we pop right back up. This is not wasn't a bullish day. It's just that the selling stopped.
Yeah. Yes, it did. Let's take a look here. Last night's open. John, is it a good idea once you hit your personal profit target for the day and you want to see what else you can squeeze out of the market to use a trailing stop loss at that point? That's what I did. You can see mine here. I was up P&L high at $1,350 today. Set this trailing personal daily loss limit and said I'm not giving back more than $500. And even then, I stopped myself $20 short. But even that $20, that I stopped myself under my own control. Right. And it's only a $20 difference, but the assurance that that gives you as a trader to take your own trading into your own hands is big. Again, I'm making a big deal about $20 right now, but stopping at 480 instead of the 500, you're taking control over your trading at that point. How many people just say, "Oh, whatever, it's only another $20. I'll just throw on some size and let it stop me out. Maybe it'll work." Uh, the mental victory is huge, and it seems small, but it really isn't. Let's take a look at last night's open, Coach Paul.
Yeah. Well, flat after yesterday's big break, and that's why I'm saying when this market felt like it was the shorts, it was a majority of shorts. I don't know what the tilt was at the lows. I can imagine was pretty heavy. But starting last night, after yesterday's big break, we had inside the range. We had some short covering, a nice rally. We've seen this pattern at night. The short covering stops, and we get back under session VWAP like we did there, and we broke hard.
That
Then
is
we,
very similar to yesterday.
yeah,
Rally in the overnight session, we close below VWAP and sell. Rally in the overnight session, close below VWAP. Not as aggressive, but very similar trade there.
and you notice that candle. They after that we made the lows overnight. We have that one big candle. This is typical of bear market rallies. Everyone's caught short or the selling stops. And you have this big candle that actually settled above VWAP,
Which
didn't
one are you
leave
looking at
the
here?
opening range. Yeah.
Which candle are you looking at, Coach Paul? The equity
Right
open or this
there.
one
You
right
just
here?
touched it. Yeah.
This one. Okay.
Look at that. Off the lows.
Yeah.
Can't get back above that candle and get under VWAP again to make new lows. Now, after yesterday's large range, the volatility is expanded. Uh, in my first level of support in the S&P from the pivot points was 66.17, and that was right in the area where we bounced along. We wicked below it, but we kept on going down to the area, but we couldn't get through because we have extended volatility ranges. So how many times did we touch that? And look at that. The low of the day, if we go to the 3-minute opening range,
Yeah.
that's the
That was
low
a
of the
pretty wild open. That was the low of the day.
day. Yeah.
That was the low of the day. It turned out to be a J trade. It was just pretty crazy. Highest volume of the day until the close, pretty much. And we did hold. One of the things we talked about during the opening call, and if we go back out to the daily, we'll see it. Sometimes, and I'm aware of this myself, it's very easy to get zoomed in on what's happening right in front of me, which we have to do as day traders, right? We are day traders. We got to be flat by the end of the day with these Topstep accounts. But you still have to remember the environment that we're in. And we've been talking about the equities really not changing much since October 10th. And today, we said it during the opening call, although it felt very bearish coming into the open, we have to remember what environment we're in. And these markets are extremely resilient for whatever reason. That first 3-minute candle, I was like, okay, this is the big one. Maybe we're not going to be talking about October 10th anymore. This could sell off. But if we take that as an opening range trade, what happened? There was no flow after that open to the downside. So a overly biased trader may have had trouble on a day like today trying to get short because, oh shit, this just looks terrible. And it did. But that's, we've all heard the quote, strong opinions loosely held. This is why. That's a beautiful trade to the other side if you're prepared for it. And again, like you said, Coach Paul, we never made another low.
No.
It's pretty crazy.
But it was pretty good. But look at the action afterwards.
Yeah.
I mean, that's literally a saw, a buzz saw. I mean, it's serrated. That every time we broke down those lows, looked like it was this is the one. But looking at volume, there was no the volume stayed lower than average. There was no big buyer or seller until late in the day, right? And now the shorts are caught. They're caught. And then we surged. Whatever the headline came out, we surged towards the end of the day, making
Yeah.
it make sense. What time did we start? Was that about
Right at power hour,
yeah,
5 minutes before power hour, and that headline came out that Israel was going to help open up the strait. We saw crude oil sell, the equities rally, that inverse correlation that we've seen. But again, this was a choppy day. If who's a range trader in here that loved today's price action, because it was a decent enough range to trade. Range traders might have had a really good day today trading the equities. And George in the chat says it sounds like you're talking about me. Tough market for me. And this is where, and many people on the internet may not tell you. They're just going to show you the P&L, right? I could just show you my P&L and not tell you how my trading day went. Today was a shitty trading day, everybody, and I don't even want to make it seem like it wasn't. Like I said, I was pretty close to my P&L, my daily loss limit on the day. But I continued to see opportunities, but I was down a decent amount today. So don't let the P&L fool you. And what I do want to say is, if you've set a daily loss limit for yourself today, I accepted that if I was going to continue to trade, it may have been a daily loss limit day because I saw opportunities continue to present themselves in the market. But it's not always going to be pretty. Some people just show, oh, it's one trade signal, one trade execution, and I make all this money for the day. I don't know about you, Coach Paul, but my trading days have never looked like that. One trade and then
rarely.
I make it's very rare, right? So, show you how the sausage is made, right? Yes, I made $3,000. Everyone can celebrate the P&L. It wasn't a pretty day. It wasn't a pretty day at all. And the markets were the reason. This is not a breakout day, and I'm more of a breakout trader. But yeah, it was not pretty. Anything else you want to say about the equities, Coach Wall?
Yeah, if we look at the half hour again before we go move on, we're still under the 200, but look, every half an hour, it seemed like every half an hour we had to make a rush to the session VWAP and fail. That describes very nervous market.
Yes.
Wick, 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 two VWAP sold back, and it looked at every time it looked like it was going to go and break hard. So um, the only time we ripped is when we closed above VWAP, and then everybody, all the shorts, had a rush to the crowded theater door. Um, but other than that, what did our friend Rusty look like?
Let's take a look. The Russell was so. Shout out to Henrico, who was on Topstep TV yesterday. He called the Russell the snitch. It was the leader all day. If you were watching all four of the equity markets, whatever move happened in the Russell first. But here you
Yeah,
go.
it was different.
Much different.
And
Much different. Go ahead.
look where we got above VWAP. And let's look at the first 3 minutes.
Of the morning session. Oh
Okay,
yeah.
yeah, right there. Yeah. All
Equity
right.
open.
Equity open. This was like this. I love that. The snitch. This is a different market.
Yes, it was. Shout out to Man Cave in the chat. Took that J trade on the Russell. Nice job, Man Cave.
Nice. And look at the action there. There was that was non-random. Um, so I think we made the low. Yeah, we did right off the get-go, right? And on the half hour, we actually rallied to the 200 moving average.
Yep.
So why I bring that up is whatever you're trading, trade. I'm not big on trading one market because another market's doing something. Measure that market. If you trade two different markets, measure each individually because they'll have different signatures. This Russell was just a much different trade.
Much different. Much different. Much cleaner. And I had all four up. I'll be honest. I didn't recognize this. If I did, I probably had a much different trading day. But hey, it's about recognition as well, right? The Russell was much cleaner than the S&P and the Nasdaq. That both did they all three did the same thing. They just did it in very different ways, very different ways. And the Russell was the clean way. Shout out to all the Russell traders out there. Man Cave, I see you in the chat. All right, let's get to crude oil. The inverse and the one clean trade I had today, chat. The one clean trade I had was crude oil. And
which was there was one trade there that was clean.
There was one trade. I'll show you the chart executions. That was it right there. I'm going to show you my gold executions also because it would be unfair for me to show the one clean trade and not show the other ones. I'm just letting you guys know now. You know, it's like when you get your report card before your parents get to see it, and you're just like, hey, I'm just letting you know I failed science. All right, I passed this class, but I failed the other one. Okay, the gold executions are not going to be pretty. I promise you. But
I got an A in gym.
Right, exactly right. But look, I passed lunch. Yeah, no, this was the one clean trade, and it came off of how I think I've been saying I think we need to trade oil, and it just presented an opportunity today. That headline came out today that the oil export ban was not going to happen, and oil rallied right away. I did not see any trade in oil before this point. And I'm a momentum trader, and this is to me some of my favorite trading to do because I don't have to really think too much. It's identify a risk, identify how much I'm willing to risk. The flow is there, and ride that momentum until it stops. Right. But we'll zoom out again. I'll break down that trade a little bit more. But let's first take a look at the higher time frame in oil. Coach Paul, what are you seeing on the daily?
Balance. Um, Still, if uh, longer term bullish, but we're getting balance at this high level, and a little concerning for the bullish side. It's accepting value, right? And we're starting to trade in choppiness. So it had a chance to break out late yesterday, was rejected. Right here, I'm saying it's neutral. This
Yeah.
kind of looks like gold a couple months ago.
Yep.
Um, but it, that's why so many spikes intraday. It's such a nervous market, and this is starting to show it. It's for it to continue on this bullish upside movement. It needs to go soon. Um, so I would say this is good unless we close below that yesterday's low. We close below that, I think it's over for a while. Um,
Yep.
uh, 5 bars at the 50% says Seth
Looks like gold.
Dominius. It does.
It
Could
looks like
almost
gold
bring
did.
those together. Yeah,
Yep.
it does.
Go to gold on that daily before we broke down, right? This is the you are here map. We're right here in oil right now. What's going to happen?
Yeah.
And there are market participants who are trying to keep oil prices down. So, headline driven market, there's a headline that could bring oil back up to 120 bucks. We saw the one today brought us back above 100. Uh, Maybe not as likely of a headline to bring us back below 60 bucks, but Scott Bessent this morning did say that oil prices were soon going to be below the February 28th prices. So they're looking at oil prices. They're looking at oil prices and they're going to try to do what they can to keep it lower. From the way I look at it, there's one thing that's going to get oil prices to come back down, and that is the end of a war. Until that happens, I don't know. But it's presenting volatility and opportunity to trade. $7.35 daily ATR, about an $8 range today. So there's definitely opportunity in it, but some volatility for sure. 30-minute.
Makes
Go ahead, coach.
makes me question, did the Treasury Department open up a futures account?
They did, yeah. I think they did. Right. I think that was
Uh,
exactly what they said they were going to do.
I don't know if that fun, but it sure felt like it today.
Yeah.
It's like, look at it have all the wicks on the highs, right back down. It was like, no, you're not going higher. Um, I'll sell 5,000 more kind of things.
Right.
Um, so and with that daily, it started. Maybe they are.
Hmm.
I don't know. I'm not saying they are, but it's got that flavor.
Yep. Yes, it does. Yes, it does. All right. One of the things we talked about was, and crude oil, we're seeing it. It's pretty range bound market right now. 30-minute 200 moving average. There's a general area. There was a general area today that presented, you know, opportunity to maybe limit some risk for a range trader. Anything under this 200 moving average, we never saw volume get below it. Price did advertise below it a couple of times, but no volume below it. It was a tough trade though. Again, crude oil, I don't know that crude oil is a market that I just want to be sitting in waiting for something to happen because when it happens, it's not a small move. So, that 200 moving average, you can see all the wicks. You can take those opportunities, but, manage your risk, decide how much you're willing to risk in that market. And then I'm going to go down to a 1-minute chart really quick and just take a look at that trade. So you guys have heard me say this before, and you can see where my entry is on this. 97.39. You guys have heard me say this before, but I watch Topstep TV while I'm trading sometimes, and I'm listening for Andre's reaction to things. I'm listening for headlines because sometimes they can cue you into a market moving. And as a momentum trader, if you're able to identify that momentum early, there is opportunity there. From the time that headline came out that said we are not going to have an export ban, there's an urgency trade here. Here it is on the 1 minute. We have a volume spike higher than the average, right? This is a 1 minute candle. And I didn't trade this on a 1 minute candle, but just kind of identifying the conditions that we're in. 1 minute candle that traded about 4,000 contracts on the back of a headline. I didn't know that headline was going to come out, but just like we trade a news candle, right? You attach a VWAP to it. That VWAP leaves the range aggressively. And I got in this trade relatively early, right? I probably got in, yeah, my entry is right around half of this candle. Once I saw the flow, my risk goes on the other side. It was a $400 risk on this trade. If we made a new low on that candle, fine, then I'm wrong. And I'm only in this. I don't, crude oil went to $100. And trust me, I took my profit target and I moved it all the way up to 120. Because if it's going to go, it's going to go. But what I also have to do is manage the other side of that trade, where if I get $2 in profit in crude oil in 3 minutes, I don't care what my profit target is. I have to take something off the table, especially if that flow is going to stop. Where does it have a high probability of stopping? At $100. So once we hit 100, now I'm trailing from the other side. There's no way that this trade is going to be a loser. The headline was that the U.S. was not going to ban oil exports. And we saw a pop in WTI crude and a sell-off in Brent crude. But WTI crude is the one that we trade. That was that headline. Volume comes in, get in the flow. And I'm not an economist here. I'm a trader. And as a trader, I'm trading the flow. As soon as that flow is done, all of the people who get paid millions and billions of dollars to understand crude prices and control crude prices, they're smarter than me when it comes to crude oil. I'm okay admitting that. We said it the other day, Coach Paul, right? You can make a lot of money being a great follower. And that was the case here. Just identifying a flow that came into the market and jumping in with that flow. D says $100 was a massive call wall too. Yeah, right. So you can't ignore $100 in crude oil. It's not going to be easy to break through. Anything else you want to say in crude, Coach Paul?
Once again, well, nothing more than I've already said.
Yeah.
It was interesting that we got to that high. Look at it. It didn't take much volume to bring it back down. Look at the size of the buying.
Yep.
But that tiny line up after those three large buying candles, we have one selling candle.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, with that wick at what was the high of that wick?
150. 150.
150.
This wick up here, yeah, the one
Yeah.
that one that traded through 150.
Yeah, that's why there's some offer up there.
Scott Bessent.
Because yeah, Scott Bessent did well, but look at you had that framed out nicely. Look what happens. Wow.
Yeah.
So we have this large amount of buying. Think about this. The buying stops
Mm-hmm.
or whatever. We're at the 100. We test it. You had it framed out nicely. This is almost like
There
a
you go.
new opening.
Yes,
Yeah.
it is. Yeah.
And watch that large candles that broke out of that range you just made. That wasn't great volume. So when you see something like when I see something like that, if I'm long, I'm out of there.
Yep.
So light selling took out heavy buying,
Mm-hmm.
and but it went down not as fast, but that was it.
Yeah. Yeah, and we talked about this one. Maybe I should have did more trading than talking about it, but you guys know I trade on a 3-minute chart. We did have a J trade on the 3-minute. That highest volume candle, we normally don't see them to the sell side. That highest volume candle, we traded above that high. Probably anybody take this trade? Just curious in the chat, because that turned out to be a hell of a trade. Uh, I
That'd
was
be a
trying to.
very hard trade.
Yeah, it was tough.
But
It was tough, but that.
if you're yeah, if you're thinking about, the fundamentals, but it was there.
Yes, yeah, yep, yeah. Fundamentally, this is almost. It's like, why would I take that? They just said, whatever headline just came out, spiked oil. Can you explain the J trade? Absolutely. So a J trade is a reversal pattern that incorporates high volume. So anytime you hear us talk about a J trade, we're likely talking about the highest volume candle of a day or near the highest volume candle of a day, right? So if you look at the volume indicator on the bottom of my charts here, look at these 3-minute candles, and that was the highest volume 3-minute candle we had all week, right? So it starts with that. So what I'm going to do is frame out that candle, and this is a reversal pattern, right? Sometimes high volume is going to mean follow through and continuation, but a J trade normally happens, or to a high probability happens at the low or the high of the day. In this case, of course, we ran that high just by a little bit, but that depends on the time frame you take the trade. But what I'm looking for then is this was the highest volume. Now we get a candle close on the other side of that trade. So what triggers the short is a candle close. So this is the first confirmation really of a reversal. That says, okay, that this buying got rejected up here. We close below it. Risk goes on the other side. In this case, that's a lot of risk for crude oil. It's almost $2 worth of risk. And then you're looking for a 2-to-1 trade from that point. Thank you, Coach Paul, for the 2-to-1 suggestions, which played out pretty well. So it's a high volume reversal. Sometimes it ends up being a 3-bar reversal. Sometimes it takes a couple more candles. Really depends on the flow of the market, but it is a reversal pattern. Anything else you want to add to that, Coach Paul?
Um, no, it's named after you. No one knows it better than you.
You gave it the name, man. You gave it the name. And one
Yes.
one added confluence to the trade that helps is if VWAP, and you can see I have an anchored VWAP attached to this chart, to this candle here. If that VWAP leaves the range to the downside, then you have higher potential for continuation. Could you do it on any time frame? You could. We've seen micro Bitcoin daily J trades, right? Here's a daily chart in micro Bitcoin going back to 2025. Highest volume daily candle that we had. Once price closes above it, right? This is to the downside. Once price closes above it, man, we're giving away sauce right here. Hey, if anybody starts doing J trade classes, tell them we're taking the commission. We're training their AI. Uh, let's take a look at gold on a daily. What are we seeing here, Coach Paul?
We're seeing liquidation. And we've been talking about this for a few days now, and it's picked up even more today. Um, it needs to hold this absolute. Oh, what happened yesterday? Below the 50-day moving average.
Yep.
And today, even more selling. So it's liquidation. Now, key point is that low that you have framed out. I think that's within reach.
Oh yeah, I thought
Um,
it looked like it was gonna go today.
After that, we're getting close to the 200-day moving average in gold. Interesting. When's the last time?
Got to load some more data. It's been a while.
um, since I had hair, it was a long time ago. Maybe I got short and pulled all my hair.
Yeah.
But no, this bull market is taking quite a beating. And that's why I look at that, I'm thinking crude. It's like,
Yeah. It looks very similar.
Now look at also, I mean, that doesn't, by the way, this is not trading advice. We're reviewing and we're looking at the setup as a daily. Key points were yesterday, those two, or I'm sorry, early in the week when we had those, what would you call them, coach? Ranges for ants.
Oh yeah, the 2 daily dojis.
Yeah.
Remember everybody remember the 3 daily dojis in the equities last year? That's a sign.
Sounds like a Christmas song, the three
Yep.
daily dojis.
Yeah.
But that set it up. When we talked about that, we had balance, and that was at the 50-day moving average. And whoever's getting out, it's more than just some speculators. This gold market, to move like that, you have to have some liquidation, and you have to have a major entity. Um, that's what that looks like to me. We did get a nice bounce off those lows for a wick, but that look at the volume. So
One of the highest volume candles we've had in a while. Uh, yeah, one of the highest we've had in a while. More so to the downside, right? Which is not surprising.
now, with that said, with that volume, maybe the low, temporary low came in. I wouldn't. Um, let's go to the half hour now.
Yeah, good point that you just made there, Coach Paul. This daily low is important, especially with the recovery that we had, right? That's a 3% bounce. And I'm just looking now at some of the other days that we've had like that. That daily low means a lot. Look at one of the last high volume days that we had. We held that low for a while and we consolidated in that candle. So,
Yeah.
you know, we're framing candles inside of candles now, but this is a significant one, how we trade here. Let's take a look at the 30 minute. Last night's open is here. I actually took a long last night during slow markets. Was that a long gold? Yeah, it was a long gold.
Yeah, there was
Uh,
a nice little trade there.
yeah, it was until it fell
Taking
apart.
profits. Well, and we've seen this pattern again. We did. Now remember, this was a bounce where we finished what yesterday's range was, what, 200. So we do have what you call a repair rally or lack of follow through selling on tiny volume. But once again, look at that session VWAP.
That red line,
And when we failed that, what time was that? Because
1:30
I,
Eastern time,
oh
1:30
good,
a.m.
I was not awake.
Nope. How many
If
times
I
have we
was
seen this pattern though?
uh, in the last couple weeks, I've seen it plenty of times. So what I look at, that's like there's some light buying against heavy selling that fails. Um, and boy, did it fail. Interesting. We did rally back up to the session VWAP at the close.
Yes, we did. Yep, right back to it. Right back to volume. Um,
We
very
almost
interesting
got a
day in gold today. Yeah, go ahead.
we almost got a J trade at the lows.
On the shorter time frame, it's there.
It is there.
Yeah, on a shorter time frame, it is definitely there. Very interesting day. Again, why do we do this session? I see a lot of new names in the chat, which I love. Right, I welcome it. If you're new to this session, let us know in the chat. Let us know where you're watching from. If you could do us a favor, hit that thumbs up button. But what you'll realize that we do if you've just started joining, we have been talking about the same trade setups and patterns for a long time now. Uh, Setups and patterns are its own thing. Executing them in real time and being able to identify them in real time is a key. But Coach Paul, that 30-minute candle close under a VWAP after we've had a failed move, we got to find a name for that one. Uh, and I'm naming it after you. I don't know what we're gonna call it, but give me a couple days. We're gonna name that something because
All right.
Yeah,
I'll welcome that.
right.
You have a great imagination.
It's just shit. Everyone's name is something anyway, so why not us? Um, really nice selling, and during the opening call, we gave another warning about being a hero trading gold. Maybe I should have listened to my own warnings. Again, this is not going to be pretty, chat. So just bear with me, all right? I'm a human. We all make we all make mistakes, and luckily, my mistake did not cost me today. You see this? Y'all see this chop here in gold? Your boy was in here fighting for his life. Okay.
I'm not laughing with you. I'm laughing
I'm
at you. Oh,
I'm
oops.
telling you guys right now, this is not going to be pretty. I think we have to be honest as especially trade, educators in sharing when things look ugly. So Courtney says, "Oh Lord, uh, there you
Lord.
go." I was fighting for my life in gold in that chop range. All right, it was a huge mess. Um, and if again, I said if I don't have a daily loss limit, there is a potential for me to lose a hell of a lot of money today. It just is what it is, right? There are going to be some days where you see things really good, you execute well, and that's it, right? Yes, I made my one perfect trade for the day. Yep, I got my napkin set, I got my salad fork next to my,
I've
you know,
figured it all out.
dinner fork, and I'm just ready to go. I'm perfect, right? Unfortunately, that's not how this game has worked for me. You have a theory, you have execution of that theory, and then you have what is happening in real time. Today, for me, it became survival mode, slow down, and then stop trying to fight the chop. Right now, what I don't want to make common is accepting that every day. If most of my trading days look like this, you guys won't see me by the end of the year, right? Or I'll be, all my hair is gonna fall out or something. I can't have trading days that look like this all the time, but having a daily loss limit set in the account and saying, okay, I'm not gonna lose more than that. This was a very ugly trading day that was able to turn around, and that crude oil trade that I showed you guys helped turn this trade around. But not having a daily loss limit, I could have done serious damage to my live account today, right? So I want to keep that and put that forward. Everybody sees, oh Jay, great day, you made 3 grand. The number doesn't always tell the story, right? So if no one else on the internet shows you, or they only show you their perfect trades or whatever, guess what? I'm not perfect, and none of you are either. But if you manage your risk, and Coach Paul has said you can break rules. I broke every rule in the trading book today. I broke every single rule that I have. I didn't break the principle of losing more than X amount of dollars. And that keeps me alive to trade the next day and actually turn a shitty day into a decent one P&L wise. How many trades did I place today, Michelle? I lost count. I had to look at myself and say, yo, what are you doing? Slow yourself down, right? So hopefully me being real about this, shout out to my favorite rapper. He has a line in the song. Shout out to Jay-Z who says, Hove did that. So hopefully you don't have to go through that. Jay did the mess. So hopefully you guys don't have to go through it. But if you are going through it and you're in your trading and you're executing, D calls it grasshopper trading. D, I was a grasshopper today. If you don't manage your risk, you can do serious damage to your account. So, what is the lesson in all of that? It's not the $3,000 that I made, it's having a daily loss limit that if this shitty day just ended the way it started, I had an account to trade tomorrow. Hopefully that makes sense to everybody.
Wow. Thank you, coach. It was awesome. Now,
Thank
I
you.
want to ask you a question as a coach.
Mhm.
Would you say you traded like shit, but you made money?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, and when we talk, and the reason I want to drive this point home, to leave the idea of I had a green day
Yeah.
and then oh shit, I had a red day. That ties into ego trade. Like
Yep.
I have to be green. No, I have to trade my plan.
Mhm.
Whether it's red or green is really doesn't matter. You
Yeah.
could have a red day and trade it very well. So, I thanks for sharing that, coach, because that really drives home that point.
Yep. Yeah. I'm happy it ended the way that it did, P&L wise, for my account. But in my notes, I'm saying I cannot have another day like this. Is it going to happen? It potentially will. But what I know is there's a daily loss limit set, and I have to do better at executing. There's a couple of questions about, how did you get it back? I did, scale down once I was in a hole, had a couple of just base hit winners, scalping the range. But no, it was a mess. It was a mess. Did I follow my strategy? I thought I was following my strategy. I thought I did. It's just like, hey, quarterback that just threw a reception. Did you see your receiver being open? I thought he was open.
Right? Yeah. Well, I love that comment. That's why I find it hard sometimes to watch announcers. Why did
Yeah,
you or no, ESPN in the highlights. Look at this mistake this got the quarterback made. He was wide open.
yeah,
What do you think the quarterback threw the interception because he didn't get, I mean, you go back and you know this when you're in it.
yeah,
And people you really don't see it until you stop. That's why it's really important to have that DLL. You
yep,
will not know you're in it. There's no people say, "Well, realize you're in it." No, you don't because that the evil twin is taking over your decision making.
yep.
And then on top of that, we had very big ranges and volatility,
Hmm.
which can actually set off the trigger
Yep,
because it's a bigger loss than you expected. And so usually being human, what's the first thing you're going to do? I can't take that fucking loss. I'll
yeah,
put on a couple more. I'll do something else. Well, at the bottom of the list is I got to stop.
yeah,
Right?
yeah.
I'm just going to take the $600 and fight another day.
Hmm.
That's usually not the top of mind. And if you've traded enough, you know what I'm talking about.
Yep,
So this was a great. Really, I got to give another shout out to you, Coach Jay. This is trading,
yeah,
and I love it. We're not, we've been questioning. Oh, it's just review. Well, you're reviewing the market against your decision making,
correct.
and then that's the beginning of really understanding trading.
Yeah, absolutely. Uh, yeah, that's all I have. Again, do not try to replicate this day. It was a mess. I don't even want to talk about the trading because the trading was not good. It worked out, right? And what I will say is I try not to put myself in that position as much as possible with my trading because it's not fun at all. It's not fun at all. But having a daily loss limit is the moral of the story. Uh, any other markets, Coach Paul, you want to talk about?
But yeah, I just have to mention one other thing. Did you see
Mhm.
the J trade
The
in
very
your?
clear one at the low that I should have just took and and not did whatever the hell I was doing in the middle of this. Yeah, I mean, so this J trade actually happens, and I'm not making any excuses, but I do the opening call every morning. This trade, this high volume at the low, I saw this happening, but and this probably happens for some of you as well. You might have something that you're doing during your day that takes you out of execution mode. When I'm doing the opening call, I'm not in execution mode, right? We're driving a show, we're running the segment, we're providing information for the traders. Orange at the lows, Coach Paul.
Oh,
Yes. So
oh,
there was a very clear trade setup that we see at this low. I wasn't in I wasn't in execution mode at that point, right? I still got another 30 minutes before my trading day really even starts. But we did close above that high. That is a J trade, right? This is a huge range, but here's that candle close above the high. Risk goes on the other side. This is, again, huge range, 73 points. Maybe I don't risk that entire thing, but in theory, it still plays out, right? So the question then becomes, yes, this is a trade setup that I have identified. Can I afford the risk, right? We talked about this yesterday. You can break trading down into three things: edge, risk, behavior. The edge is the J trade, high volume reversal. The risk on the trade may be too much. This might just be a trade that you have to forego. You can't take it. It costs too much. But yeah, it did play out pretty well. Not to a 2-to-1 yet, but got a 1-to-1.
Yeah. And so, yeah, gold. By the way, that's $750 on a micro.
Yeah, yeah, that's right. Right.
Probably don't want to take it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a lot of risk. A lot of risk. Any other markets, Coach Paul, you want to talk about? We talked the big four. Micro Bitcoin was trading under 70K. Okay, it's back above it. Anything else on your scouting report right now, Coach Paul?
Oh, after that, I don't think so. Uh,
All right. We can
you know,
wrap it there.
we could just wrap it there. Let's take a look at the Bitcoin daily again,
Here you
just
go.
while we're here.
Bitcoin daily.
We're s- we're still in that candle. Um, we talked about this on what was it, Monday?
Hmm.
And then we had that doji candle when we tried to break out um, the highs. And look at what we've done. We've gone right back into the range
Yeah.
where we sit now. So this was a pretty big break in 2 days.
Yeah, it
And
was.
when I say that is it's truly trading like a stock.
Yeah.
Um, Still give me a solid day out of that range, and that's going to be at the top of my mind.
The volume has to pick up. That's the thing. And I think we talked about it the last time, right? When we talked about this candle, VWAP is still flat in this candle. So it's tough anytime we get up here. And I think we have 50-day moving yeah. The 50-day moving average, that downtrend. Um, when we get up there, we reject it right back to the middle, but it's holding. It's building a little bit of a base down here. Should be very interesting. I think that's it.
Yep.
Pablo, I think you should get paid out. Sorry, you blew your XFA. You requested a payout Monday. If it said it was finalized, you should still get the payout. I would check with support just to confirm that. But if the money came out of the account, then you should be good. You should be good. Anything else you wanted to say, Coach Paul? SJR wants to take a look at the Nikkei.
No, I've got Nikkei.
Looks very similar
Do
to the
they
other
have a
equities.
micro on the Nikkei?
There is one. The CME has one. We don't have it at Topstep.
No, probably
It
doesn't trade
it
much,
trades
but
well, and it's super thin. I mean, the big contract is thin. Uh, it
because
trade
technically it's a great market.
Yeah, it is, but it traded 8,000 8,000 contracts today. It's always the lowest volume contract that we have with Top Step accounts, but like you said, it does trade well, very well technically. Looks just like the other equity markets.
Yeah.
What was the DNA? We had a false rally as soon as we closed below session VWAP again. We got the somebody give us a
A
name for
few.
the Coach Paul trade. I might do a giveaway if we come up with a name for the Coach Paul trade. Somebody in the chat wants to help us out with that. All right, but I think that's it, Coach Paul. We talked about a bunch of markets. I shared my mess of a day with you guys. Anything else, Coach Paul, you want to talk about today?
Once again, plan your trade your plan, and I'm going to add this. Make sure you have your 12% locked in. Don't trust your ego. It's not
Yes,
your amigo. And we will talk again tomorrow.
yes. Have a daily loss limit. Have a daily loss limit. Cereal is soup. What I meant by the order flow question earlier is the practice of watching the tape to confirm entry point on down candles if you're trying to get into a long. After seeing price slow with large orders. Yeah, so there are times where if I'm looking for a short as the market's rallying, I might look at the slowdown of the tape as a early indication that we're going to turn around. into a major level. Hopefully that makes sense. We're kind of running out of time. I understand your question, but I want to make sure I get all of it for a response. And we do have to get out of here. We got coaches doing classes in Discord after this. Coach Hoop at 6 p.m. Eastern time. Coach Ray at 7. Coach Vince at 8. Coach Dakota tonight with slow markets at 8 p.m. as well. Aaron with the London Open tomorrow at 3:30 a.m. Eastern time, I believe it is. No session with Deanna tomorrow. Tomorrow is Friday. D is off. Enjoy your time off, D. We will see you all tomorrow. Thanks for joining. Hit that thumbs up button if you haven't done so already. We appreciate you all being here. Have a good night.
Ciao.
Bye.